And so that brings me to the kind of the third thing here that I wanted to share before I jump into numbers. And that is, if you look at your life and you look at the areas where the fruit is not the fruit that you would prefer, I would encourage you then to look inside and consider, what are the stories you've been telling yourself? What is the narrative that you have been telling yourself? Because I will bet that there have been many times in your life where you, and maybe even now, matter of fact, I'm certain probably a little now, where you tell yourself you're not good enough for XYZ, or you're not young enough for XYZ, or you're whatever story or narrative you're telling yourself. And we tell ourselves narratives about others too, right? We tell ourselves narratives that, oh, they wouldn't be open to something, or they wouldn't be interested in something. It's interesting that someone can think that and then not think they're good enough, because when you say they wouldn't be interested in something, then you're acting as if you know, when in fact you're looking at yourself and not thinking you're good enough to know. That's sort of a dichotomous, don't you believe? And so if we think about this in the broader frame, you are exactly who you're supposed to be, right? You are brilliantly, beautifully, uniquely created. You're not supposed to be like anyone else. Don't look at others and think they can because they are. That's irrelevant. Yes, they can because they are, but you can because you are. That's the thing that you have to recognize, that it's unless you physically or mentally are incapable, right? Get to a place in life where you're physically incapable of doing something. It's never too late for anything. It's never too late. You're never too old. You're never lacking too much skill. There's none of that. That's just stories that you're telling yourself, right? Those are just, so the thing I would suggest to consider, and this is from Seth Godin, and Seth Godin is masterful. He's someone it's a good idea to read Seth Godin. But if your narratives in life are not working for you, then stop using them and start using a different narrative, right? There are two sides to every coin. There is two parts to every glass. Everything has both sides. You can choose on which you look at. Start choosing to look at the good in you, because you only need a little and you have abundant. I mean, just being real. Yes, now at 62 years old, I am highly skilled. That's true. But I didn't start this way, and it took me a long time to get this way. I didn't just suddenly build my business because I became highly skilled. I built my business on two things. One, being nice. I mean, come on, who can't do that? Being nice. And two, being persistent. You can do that too. So what my recipe for success is: be nice and don't stop. I mean, come on. That is, I don't know how else simpler to make it. So what these narratives do is they create limiters, right? And those limiters, believe it or not, they go all the way back to here from the lack of skills. You see, you weren't taught interpersonal communication as a kid, so you navigate interpersonal communication based on your personality tendencies and your preferences and what you've shied away from and what you found that works, not on skill, which means you automatically create limiters. And when you create limiters and shy away from something, you build belief around that by saying, okay, that didn't work, but you never think about the fact, well, I mean, actually it didn't work because I actually didn't do it. Because we don't finish the narrative in that regard. And so you can blow that narrative up just by becoming active. I'm just telling you, you can change your whole life just by becoming active in the work. And many of you are. So this is for no purpose than to potentially give value to you, right? Because my perspective is whatever you do is okay with me and always has been. All right.